They found the first body on a Tuesday morning, posed like a mannequin right in the middle of Central Park. This wasn't just a murder, it was a personal invitation to a horrifying game. Sarah had been with the NYPD for 8 years, but nothing had ever prepared her for this. The victim, a young woman in her 20s, was dressed in a pristine white gown. Her makeup had been applied with a disturbing, almost artistic precision. Sarah knelt beside her, the cold dampness of the grass seeping through her pants. "How long has she been here?" she asked the medical examiner, Dr. Marcus Webb, who was already at work. Marcus, usually unflappable, seemed shaken. "Based on rigor mortis and body temperature, I'd say no more than 3 hours, but Sarah..." He hesitated, his voice dropping. "Look at her hands." Sarah leaned in. The victim's hands were positioned delicately on her lap, and on each finger was a small, intricately folded origami crane. 12 in total. A chill snaked down Sarah's spine. "He's telling us how many he plans to kill," she whispered, the words catching in her throat. Marcus nodded grimly. "And he's already started counting down." Within 6 hours, the second body was found. Then the third. Each victim was posed like a statue in a public place. One was sitting on a park bench, forever reading the same page of a book. Another stood at a bus stop, holding an umbrella against a non-existent rain. A third was found lying in a flower bed, arranged like Ophelia from Hamlet. They were all women in their 20s, all dressed immaculately, and all accompanied by those chilling origami cranes. The media went into a frenzy. They christened the killer the Collector, because each victim looked like a carefully curated piece in some twisted art exhibition. The city was gripped by fear. Women were afraid to go outside alone. The mayor was on television every hour, demanding results, promising safety he couldn't guarantee, and all the while, the clock kept ticking down. But what truly haunted Sarah was the personal nature of the notes left at each scene. Every single one was addressed directly to her. "Detective Chen, you're running out of time." "Sarah, did you notice the pattern in their jewelry? You're getting closer, but not close enough." He knew things about her. He knew her work schedule, her habits, even her route home. She wasn't just a detective on the case. She was a player in his game, a piece on his board. The pressure was immense. Her partner, Detective Mike Torres, had been hospitalized with a heart attack just 2 days into the case, the stress becoming too much. Her captain was breathing down her neck, and every dead end felt like a personal failure. On the fourth day, with 7 victims already claimed in the city on the verge of total collapse, Sarah finally saw it. It was 2 in the morning, and she was in her apartment, surrounded by a chaotic sea of crime scene photos. Her eyes, burning from lack of sleep, caught something she'd missed: the jewelry. Each victim wore a specific piece, a necklace with a pendant shaped like a constellation. She scrambled for her laptop, her heart pounding. Orion, Cassiopeia, Ursa Major, they weren't random. She started mapping them, plotting the locations where the bodies were found across a digital map of the city. "He's creating a map," she breathed, the realization hitting her like a physical blow. But a map to what? She traced the constellation patterns, extending the lines based on astronomical charts. They all converged on one single location: an abandoned theater in Brooklyn. The Orpheums, a place that was scheduled for demolition in less than a week. This had to be it. This was his endgame. Sarah grabbed her phone to call for backup, her fingers fumbling with the screen. But before she could even dial, it rang, vibrating violently in her hand. The screen showed an unknown number. With a deep breath, she answered. "Hello, Sarah." The voice was calm, almost gentle, male, educated. It was the voice of a ghost she'd been chasing for days. "I've been waiting for you to figure it out." "Who are you?" Sarah demanded, her free hand already reaching for her jacket and her service weapon. "Does it matter?" the voice replied, with an unnerving lack of emotion. "Names are just labels, but you can call me Adrian. You know where to find me now, don't you?" "The Orpheum Theater," Sarah said, the name feeling heavy on her tongue. A soft, chilling laugh came through the speaker. "Very good. But Sarah, listen carefully. You need to come alone. If I see any backup, any police cars, any helicopters, the remaining victims die immediately. They're here with me, you see. Still alive. For now." "I don't believe you," she shot back, trying to keep her voice steady. "Apartment 4C at 247 Madison, check your phone." Her phone buzzed with an incoming message. She opened it. The photo showed a woman bound to a chair, her eyes wide with terror, but unmistakably alive. The background was the backstage of an old, decaying theater. Sarah's stomach dropped. She recognized the woman. Emma Rodriguez reported missing 2 days ago. She was one of the 5. "1 hour, Sarah," Adrian's voice commanded. "Come alone, or they all die, and then I disappear. And you will spend the rest of your career, the rest of your life, wondering if you could have saved them." The line went dead, leaving an echoing silence in the room. Sarah stood frozen in her apartment, her hands shaking uncontrollably. Every protocol, every rule she'd ever learned, screamed at her to call for backup. Every instinct warned her this was a trap designed specifically for her. But the image of Emma Rodriguez's terrified face was burned into her mind. 5 women were still alive, 5 lives hanging by a thread, waiting in the dark, hoping someone, anyone, would save them. She thought about her partner Mike lying in a hospital bed. She thought about her captain, who would never authorize a solo confrontation with a serial killer. She thought about her mother, who had already buried 1 child and couldn't bear to lose another. But then she thought about those 5 women, their fear, their hope, their lives. In that moment, the choice became terrifyingly clear. Sarah made her decision. She quickly typed out a detailed note explaining everything: the call, the location, Adrian's ultimatum. She set it to be emailed to the precinct in exactly 45 minutes. If she didn't return to her laptop and disable it, they'd know where to find her and where to find the bodies. It was the only insurance policy she could give herself. With a final, steadying breath, she grabbed her coat and gun and walked out into the night, alone, heading for the Collector's last game. Thanks for watching. If you want to see what happens next in Detective Chen's story, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss it. Midnight in New York, the city that never sleeps is holding its breath. A young woman walks alone, lost in the blue glow of her phone. A sudden glare in her rearview mirror, headlights piercing the dark. The car lunges forward, a steel beast unleashed. The impact is brutal, a sickening thud that echoes in the empty street. She's thrown, a broken doll on the wet pavement. Then, silence. Only the hiss of steam rising from the road. The driver steps out. There's no panic in his eyes, no rush. Just a cold, chilling emptiness. He walks toward her, his steps measured, unhurried. He doesn't check if she's alive. He doesn't seem to care. The city hums on, oblivious to the nightmare unfolding on one of its countless streets. He pops the trunk. The sound clicks through the night air. It's a gallery of horrors. Bodies wrapped tightly in industrial plastic, stacked like firewood. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touches his lips. It's not a smile of joy, but of satisfaction, of a job well done. He lifts his latest victim and pushes her inside, adding her to the grotesque pile. The trunk slams shut, a final, metallic punctuation mark on her fate. Darkness. The car glides through the city's arteries, a phantom moving through the neon-lit canyons. Its destination, Central Park. The iconic landmark is transformed by the night, a sprawling blackness shrouded in a low-hanging fog that clings to the ancient trees. It's deserted, a perfect stage for what's to come. The trunk opens again. The woman he hit, she's still breathing. Her life is a fragile flicker, a faint ember in the cold. He lifts her out, not with the rough drag from before, but almost gently. He lays her on the damp earth with a strange, unnerving reverence, as if she were an offering. Then, he places a clean, sharp knife on the ground beside her. A final, cruel touch, a prop in his twisted tableau. He turns and walks away, another knife now in his hand. A close-up reveals the city lights warping and dancing on the bloodied steel of the blade. He melts back into the shadows from which he came, becoming just another faceless figure in the urban jungle. This isn't a one-time event, it's a ritual. The city is his hunting ground, his canvas. We see flashes, a brutal montage of his work. Another trunk opening in a different part of the city. Another body left in a forgotten alleyway. A subway entrance at dawn. A desolate rooftop overlooking the glittering skyline. Each location is a new chapter in his horrific story. We see him walking through the bustling crowds, the deadly instrument held tightly in his hand, hidden in plain sight. He is the ghost at the feast, the wolf among the sheep. His gloved hand tightens around the handle, the leather creaking softly. His breathing is steady, controlled. The sun rises on a new day, but it brings no warmth, only the cold light of discovery. Police tape cordons off a section of Central Park. Officers move with grim purpose. We see a detective's face, a mask of hardened experience cracking with shock at what he sees. The camera pushes in on the victim. Tucked into her jacket is a small, handwritten note. The words are a chilling promise, a declaration of intent. This is only the beginning. The message isn't just for the police, it's for the entire city. A notice that the fear has just begun. Night falls again. The killer is back in his car, driving, always driving. The trunk is full. A voice, cold and dispassionate, cuts through the silence. Some killers collect memories, others collect bodies. The screen cuts to black. A cold dawn breaks over Central Park. It's a perfect still morning, the kind that feels like the city is holding its breath, posed like a mannequin on a park bench, serene and terrifyingly public. Pinned to her chest is a note, a personal invitation addressed to Detective Sarah Chen. It reads, "The killer knew her name. He knew she would be the one to find the body. This wasn't just a murder, it was a declaration." At the scene, the medical examiner works quietly, but it's the victim's hands that draw everyone's attention. On each finger, a delicate origami crane is perched, a bizarre artistic signature. Sarah looks at the 10 tiny paper birds and whispers to her partner, "He's counting." As the morning fog lifts, revealing the full scale of the crime scene cordoned off by flashing lights and yellow tape, one thing is clear to everyone. The city holds its breath. The killer, dubbed the Collector by the press, continues his work with chilling precision. A second body is found posed on a park bench, a third at a bus stop, waiting for a ride that will never come. A fourth is arranged in a flower bed, almost like a part of the garden. Each victim is a woman, each one posed in a public place, and each one bears the same mark, 10 origami cranes. Panic grips the city. The streets, once bustling with life, grow quiet after dark. Women walk with their keys clutched like weapons, looking over their shoulders. For Sarah, the case becomes a suffocating obsession. The killer isn't just communicating with the public, he's speaking directly to her. Another note arrives, its calligraphy elegant and mocking. "You're running out of time, Sarah." The nights blur into one long, sleepless stretch. Her apartment transforms into a war room, walls covered with crime scene photos, maps and timelines. She's staring at the board, at the faces of the victims, searching for a link, a reason. Then, something catches her eye, a glint of metal in a photo, a small piece of jewelry. A necklace, it's almost insignificant, but it's a thread. The necklace leads her down a digital rabbit hole. It's a custom piece, part of a line of constellation-themed jewelry. An idea sparks in Sarah's mind. She pulls up a map of New York City and starts plotting the locations of the victims. With each point she adds, a pattern begins to emerge. Not a random scattering, but a deliberate design. She draws lines connecting the crime scenes, her breath catching in her throat. The lines form a constellation, and they all converge on one single point in Brooklyn, the Orpheum Theater. Just as she realizes this, her phone rings. It's an unknown number. A calm, male voice on the other end says, "I was waiting for you to figure it out." "The Orpheum," Sarah says, her voice tight. A picture message immediately follows. It's a woman, bound and gagged, but alive. A hostage. The next message reads, "1 hour. Come alone." Sarah doesn't hesitate. She grabs her gun and heads for the door. In the quiet of her apartment, a moment of doubt washes over her. Going alone is against every rule, but the killer has made this personal. She opens her laptop and types a quick email to her captain, detailing everything she's found. She sets it to send in 65 minutes, a fail-safe. Then she straps on her vest, gets in her car, and drives. The city lights of Manhattan blur into a streak as she crosses the bridge into Brooklyn. The streets are dark, desolate, and then she sees it, the grand, decaying facade of the Orpheum Theatre, a ghost from another era looming in the darkness. The building is silent, a hollow shell. She finds a side door unlocked, a clear invitation. Her flashlight beam cuts through the thick, dusty air of the lobby, revealing peeling paint and velvet ropes that have long since faded. She moves cautiously towards the main hall. Suddenly the stage lights flicker on, blinding her. There, center stage, stands a man, Adrian. He's dressed impeccably, a conductor, waiting for his orchestra. And then Sarah sees them. Positioned around the theater, in the box seats and the aisles, are 5 more women, all bound, all alive. Adrian begins to speak, his voice echoing through the vast, empty space. He explains the rules of his game. He's holding a dead man's switch, connected to explosives placed throughout the theater. If he lets go, they all die. He wants Sarah to play, to prove she understands him, to prove she's worthy. He smiles, a cold, empty gesture. We have so much in common, Sarah. We both lost someone, didn't we? Your sister. The name hits her like a physical blow, knocking the air from her lungs. He knows about her sister. He's dug into her past, her pain, and is now using it as a weapon. He demands an answer. Which one of them doesn't belong, Sarah? Which one is the outlier? She forces herself to focus, to push past the shock and study the 5 women. They all look different. Hair color, height, style. She makes her first guess. Wrong. A tense silence. She makes a second guess. Wrong again. Adrian's smile widens. He's enjoying this. Time is running out. She looks again, not at their differences, but at their similarities. The way they're dressed, the specific style of their hair. It hits her. They aren't random. They're archetypes. They're all versions of one person. They're not just random women, she says, her voice steady. They're versions of your wife. The woman she was when you met her, the woman she became, and the woman you wished she was. The smile vanishes from Adrian's face. He freezes. The theater is utterly silent, the only sound the faint hum of the stage lights. Then a single, slow clap. Then another. He sets the dead man's switch carefully on the stage floor. With a click, the ropes holding the women release. They scramble, screaming, running for the exits as the first wail of sirens cuts through the night. As the women flee, Adrian picks up a gun he had hidden on stage and raises it to his own head. In a split second, Sarah fires. Not to kill, but to stop. The bullet hits his hand and his gun clatters to the floor. The doors burst open and police swarm the stage, subduing him before he can react. It's over. Weeks later, in a sterile courtroom, Adrian stands restrained, his eyes finding Sarah across the room. He looks at her, a flicker of something unreadable in his gaze. She looks away. She doesn't want his acknowledgement. Later, she visits a small, newly planted memorial garden. 7 trees, 1 for each victim. She places the origami cranes she found, the ones from the crime scenes, the ones from her own doormat, at the base of each tree. A small, quiet tribute to her. Her phone rings. It's one of the women from the theater, Emma. She's calling to say thank you. As Sarah hangs up, the emotion she's held back for so long finally breaks through. A single tear traces a path down her cheek. It's a tear of grief, of relief, of exhaustion. That night she returns to her apartment, feeling the weight of the last few weeks begin to lift. She turns the key in the lock and pushes the door open. And there, on her doormat, sits a single, perfect, red origami crane. Tucked beneath it is a small, folded note. Her blood runs cold. She picks it up, her hands trembling as she unfolds it. The calligraphy is different, less refined, but the message is terrifyingly clear. The student becomes the teacher. Somewhere in the city, the game wasn't over. A new collection had just begun.